Okay, so let's dive into something pretty fundamental today. Figuring out that essential reason for being, your personal WHY.
Yeah, it's definitely a deep one. Something lots of people grapple with, trying to uh, put words to something that feels really core, but is kind of hard to nail down.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, we're looking specifically at some excerpts from a source called Identifying Your Essential Reason for Being.
Right.
So our mission really is to unpack the key ideas from this specific source about how one person defined their own WHY. We're examining an example laid out in the material.
Exactly. Taking a case study, basically presented in the source, and looking at what the source says are the crucial parts of it.
And the source gives us this really powerful key phrase right at the center. It says, "For those standing alone before life's wall, designing a structure of hope through genuine empathy and concrete execution."
Wow. Yeah, that phrase really hits, doesn't it?
It does. It seems to anchor everything the source talks about regarding this person's purpose.
And it's such a potent mix of things. The source points out who it's for people facing big challenges, feeling isolated. And then it clearly states this dual approach, empathy and execution. The source doesn't frame it as one or the other.
Right. It suggests they're fundamentally connected for this person.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's unpack what the source actually says makes up this structure of hope. What's the first thing the source highlights about this individual?
Well, the source really emphasizes this ability they seem to have had for a long time, almost an innate thing, to sort of cut through the noise, to see the actual root of a problem.
Yeah.
But it's described as more than just understanding it. It's also this urge and ability to follow through, to actually do something, implement solutions.
So not just thinking, but a real drive to solve problems, hands-on. How does the source say this actually shows up, say professionally?
Yeah, according to the source, you see this execution focus really clearly in their work. It mentions helping lots of clients get concrete, measurable results.
Like what kind of results?
Things like big improvements in performance, navigating really tricky career changes, or getting promotions. The source uses these results as kind of proof of the concrete execution part of their WHY actually working.
Okay, that definitely covers the execution side.
Right.
But that key phrase also stressed genuine empathy. How does the source bring that in alongside the drive for results?
Right. The source is quite explicit about this other vital piece, providing emotional support, creating space for real, authentic conversation.
Especially for people having a tough time.
Exactly. Particularly for those going through major difficulties or, emotional struggles. The source says it wasn't about just dishing out advice. It was about offering real empathy, creating that space where they felt heard and could find their own strength to, as the source puts it, start again.
That's interesting. So the source presents them not as separate skills, but two sides of the same coin for this person's purpose.
Precisely.
The kind of hard-edged execution bit paired with the softer skill of deep empathy. How does the source connect these to build that structure of hope idea?
Yeah, this is where the source really ties it all together, I think. It describes this person's deepest purpose as being about building the structure itself, or maybe the framework for others.
Okay.
So it's like creating the conditions, the systems, the sort of foundational support needed so that other people's potential, their hard work, doesn't just, hit that life's wall and go nowhere.
Ah, I see.
The source suggests the execution provides the structural bits, the integrity, while the empathy provides the sort of emotional safety within that structure. It's about enabling their success, not just stepping in.
So it's not just solving a problem for someone, but building something that empowers them to tackle their own barriers with both practical and emotional support.
You got it. And the source sums this up really nicely in one line, saying something like achievement and comfort, execution and motion. The problem solver who is responsible for all of that is why I exist. It frames their whole WHY as being the person who delivers both the tangible stuff and the emotional security others need to move forward themselves.
What really stands out based on this source is seeing how it weaves together things that seem quite different, like sharp analysis and problem solving, with real emotional connection.
Yeah.
And it forms this single unified purpose focused on building that structure of hope for others. It's a very layered way of being a problem solver described here.
Absolutely. And understanding a WHY that's detailed like this in the source, mixing the practical and the emotional, gives you a really rich picture of how purpose can be articulated beyond just simple labels.
Yeah.
It's about this specific impact you have on others,
Yeah.
enabled by that unique mix of abilities the source describes.
It definitely makes you reflect on the different aspects of purpose laid out here. So, thinking purely about this source's idea, the structure of hope, built with equal parts concrete action and genuine empathy for those feeling alone against that wall.
Yeah.
What might it look like for you, the listener, to intentionally design a structure like that? Maybe for yourself, maybe for someone else, but making sure it truly values both getting tangible things done and providing that genuine emotional understanding.